Today, there's been this notable prisoner exchange between the United States and Russia, which took place in Ankara, in Turkey. And the exchange involved the release of American citizens like Evan Gershkovich, Paul Whelan from Russian custody, and Vladimir Karamurza, and whose health was in serious danger, being held in, in prisons across Russia, people not knowing his whereabouts and so on. Evan Gershkovich, the journalist from the Wall Street Journal, had been detained on espionage charges in May 2023, which he and his supporters vehemently deny. Paul Whelan, the former US Marine, who had been held since 2018 on espionage charges, was sentenced to 16 years in a Russian prison. And the US exchanged these for two Russian nationals whose identities and crimes were not immediately disclosed, but were believed to be of that they were believed to be of significant interest to Russia. The negotiations for the swap had been ongoing for some time. 26 people involved in the swap, and President Putin was there on the tarmac greeting Vadim Krasikov, the murderer, the SFB activist, the person who murdered a Chechen dissident in a park in Berlin. And there was also a family with two or three children, I'm not sure, a couple held in Slovenia who'd been under deep cover. But for the first time, really, since the news came out in October 23 last year that Putin had died, I must say I'm tempted to question that conclusion for the first time, because Putin, as a former SFB activist, I mean, he wasn't much more than a handbag carrier, was looking personally engaged in meeting these FSB activists, and this invested personal commitment. I don't abandon my belief that Putin is dead, but I'm open to persuasion that this might be the real Putin, or at least whoever this is definitely somebody with the same FSB background as the person he is pretending to be. I'm happy to be convinced by any new fact, as and when it occurs. When the facts change, I change my mind. The facts haven't absolutely changed, but certainly there is evidence of an emotional link to the FSB. There's an emotional engagement by Putin, which is the first time we've seen this, and certainly in the past, Putin has often allowed, and I know the West finds this very odd, but Putin was often quite emotional in this strange, bottled up way. And this is the first time, really, that we've seen it since last October. And as I say, this makes me wonder. Upon arrival in the United States, these prisoners were greeted by Joe Biden personally, emphasizing the US government's commitment to securing the release of its people. The greeting underscored the moment of relief and triumph for the administration, in the context of huge international tensions, and paralleled by the national pride and the emotional warmth that we saw from President Putin as well. The exchange highlights the sensitive and strategic nature of international diplomacy, and it's a positive. It means that we've been talking, and that's a great plus. The negotiations for the swap had been ongoing for some time, reflecting these sort of complex diplomatic dynamics, and whether this is espionage, whether people were involved in espionage, whether they were just accused of espionage or political crimes, this is, I think, of lesser importance in a way than the fact that there is this engagement between the two countries and such a positive outcome. I think it's a great shame that Gershkovich and Whelan and Karamurza were used as pawns in this process to free Krasikov, but I think the engagement outweighs the concerns about the morality of this. The engagement outstrips scruples.